Western media doesn't talk about Malaysia. When they do, it's brief mentions, Islamic country, corruption scandals, developing nations with problems. The narrative is clear. Malaysia trails the developed world, economically behind, irrelevant to global power dynamics. That narrative is dangerously outdated, and Western countries are starting to realize it. Malaysia is rising economically, technologically, strategically in ways that fundamentally challenge Western assumptions about development and influence. The country Western analysts dismissed is now outmaneuvering them in critical sectors. The more Malaysia succeeds, the more uncomfortable Western nations become about their declining advantages. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is documented reality visible in policy shifts, economic data, and geopolitical positioning. Malaysia is doing things Western countries claimed only they could do, and doing them better, faster, and cheaper with fewer resources. I've analyzed Malaysia's economic trajectory, studied its geopolitical positioning, interviewed experts tracking its rise across multiple sectors. The pattern is undeniable. Malaysia is becoming a problem for Western nations that assumed it would stay dependent, compliant, and strategically irrelevant. Before we break down why Western countries are nervous, here are 3 developments that explain everything. Malaysia dominated the $4+ trillion Islamic finance industry, an ecosystem Western banks can't penetrate. Malaysia controls critical semiconductor supply chains between China and the West, leverage neither superpower expected. Malaysia built digital infrastructure faster than Western nations, spending 10 times more, proving their development models aren't superior. Let's expose why Malaysia's rise makes Western countries deeply uncomfortable. Development number 1. Malaysia owns Islamic finance. Western banks can't compete. Islamic finance is a $4+ trillion industry serving 1.8 billion Muslims worldwide. Malaysia didn't just enter this market. It built the entire infrastructure, created the international standards, trained the global experts, and now dominates completely. Malaysia is the world's largest sukuk issuer by volume. Malaysian Islamic banks led global innovation in financial products. Malaysia's halal certification system is recognized as the international gold standard. When any country wants to develop Islamic finance capabilities, they come to Malaysia, not London, not New York, not Singapore. Western banks tried entering. They failed. HSBC struggled. Citibank never scaled. Deutsche Bank quit. Islamic finance requires deep institutional knowledge Malaysia spent decades building. Western banks can't replicate it. Malaysia built a parallel financial system serving billions outside Western control, explains Dr. Zainab Hassan. That's strategic independence Western banks can't capture. Muslim-majority nations access capital through Malaysian systems, bypassing Western institutions entirely. The real threat: Malaysia made 1.8 billion people less dependent on Western banks. That's obsolescence in a major market. Development number 2. Malaysia controls the semiconductor choke point nobody saw. The US-China tech war focuses on Taiwan and manufacturing. Analysts missed this. Malaysia controls critical semiconductor supply chains neither superpower can bypass. Malaysia handles 13% of global semiconductor testing and packaging. Over 50 companies operate there: Intel, AMD, Infineon, Texas Instruments. Penang accounts for 7% of global trade. You can manufacture chips anywhere, but portions route through Malaysia. Disrupting operations disrupts global supply. No quick alternative. Malaysia made itself necessary to all sides, notes Robert Chun. China needs Malaysian services. America needs them. Europe needs them. That's leverage Western strategists didn't expect. Friendshoring strategies still require Malaysian capacity. Malaysia's leverage gives negotiating power with both superpowers, power Western nations assumed only they wielded. The real threat: Malaysia controls supply chain infrastructure neither China nor the West can replace. That's leverage Western countries thought only they possessed. Development number 3. Malaysia is winning the digital infrastructure race. Western nations pioneered digital technology. Silicon Valley. American internet dominance. The assumption was digital leadership belonged permanently to the West. Malaysia is proving that wrong. Digital payment adoption exceeds 90%. E-government services function seamlessly. Smart city implementations surpass many Western cities despite lower budgets. Western nations struggle. American services require in-person visits. Rural broadband is abysmal. European nations debate initiatives Malaysia already implemented. Malaysia leapfrogged Western infrastructure by implementing while the West debated, explains Sarah Wong. Western nations argued about privacy. Malaysia built systems that work. Malaysian cities have more integrated infrastructure than most American or European cities. Digital infrastructure is economic infrastructure. Companies choosing regional headquarters consider digital readiness. Malaysia rivals Singapore at lower cost. The real threat: Malaysia built digital infrastructure Western nations couldn't implement despite technological superiority. That's a development challenge economists didn't predict. Development number 4, strategic non-alignment, gives Malaysia unexpected influence. Western policy operates binary. You're with us or against us. Choose. Malaysia refuses, and it's working brilliantly. Malaysia maintains strong ties with China, its largest trading partner. Malaysia simultaneously partners with the US on security. Malaysia trades with everyone, allies with no one exclusively, maximizes leverage through flexibility. Western nations find this frustrating. They want Malaysia to pick a side. Malaysia's response: no? Malaysia's non-alignment is sophisticated positioning, notes Dr. Ahmad Karim. Western nations assume smaller nations must choose superpowers. Malaysia chose independence. The West can't force alignment without costs Malaysia makes too high. This gives Malaysia negotiating power. China can't take support for granted. America can't assume compliance. The real threat: Malaysia demonstrated non-alignment works, giving nations a model for resisting Western pressure. That's the opposite of what Western policy needs. Development number 5. Economic growth happened without Western models. Western doctrine: liberalize markets, privatize assets, follow IMF prescriptions, adopt Western governance. This is the development path the West exports. Malaysia ignored this and succeeded. Malaysia maintained state involvement in strategic sectors. Geopolitical policies prioritized ethnic advancement over market efficiency. The government intervened in housing, healthcare, and education. Capital controls were implemented when economists said they'd destroy growth. GDP growth averaged 5 to 6% annually. Poverty dropped. Infrastructure modernized. The economy is diversified, all while violating Western orthodoxy. Malaysia proves there's no single path, explains Dr. Jennifer Walsh. Western institutions sold one model as universal. Malaysia succeeded differently. That's threatening. If Malaysia can succeed differently, maybe Western models aren't superior. Western influence relies on assumptions that Western models are the only path. Malaysia's success undermines that. The real threat: Malaysia succeeded without following Western models, proving Western doctrine isn't universal truth. That's an ideological challenge institutions can't dismiss. We want to hear from you right now. Drop a comment below. If you're from a Western country, does Malaysia's rise make you nervous? Defensive? Curious? If you're Malaysian, does your country get enough credit for what it's achieving? If you're from any developing nation, does Malaysia's success show Western models aren't the only path? Tag your country. Your thoughts. Right now. Development number 6. Malaysia became a tech hub while the West fought regulation. Western nations spent years fighting over tech regulation, privacy, antitrust. Progress stopped. Malaysia built tech infrastructure and attracted investment. Zero drama, massive results. Google's data center. Microsoft's hub in Cyberjaya. Amazon Web Services expansion. TikTok's Southeast headquarters. Major companies chose Malaysia while Western nations debated. The West argued. Malaysia built, notes David Park. Tech contributes over 20% of GDP. Malaysia produces talent, attracts investment, while Western nations fight culture wars. The real threat: Malaysia became a tech hub by balancing business and regulation, something Western nations can't achieve politically. Development number 7. Healthcare became a model the West can't replicate. Medical tourism to Malaysia generates billions. Patients from America, Britain, Australia fly to Malaysia for procedures they can't afford at home. Quality matches Western standards. Prices are 70 to 90% lower. Malaysia delivers quality healthcare affordably through dual systems, universal public coverage, and reasonably priced private care. Western nations can't replicate this. American healthcare is controlled by monopolies. The NHS is collapsing. European systems are expensive with growing wait times. Malaysia's model works because it serves patients, not profit, explains Dr. Lisa Chun. Western healthcare is financialized. The West can't copy Malaysia's model without destroying industries controlling their politics. The real threat: Malaysia proves affordable quality healthcare is possible, making Western costs look like the scam they are. Development number 8. Multicultural model works better than Western integration. Western nations pride themselves on multiculturalism. America's melting pot. European integration. Reality? Rising tensions, integration failures. Malaysia, with deeper diversity, maintains cohesion Western nations cannot. Malaysia is 69% Malay, 23% Chinese, 7% Indian, plus indigenous groups. 3 religions, multiple languages, yet virtually zero interethnic violence. Western models demand assimilation disguised as multiculturalism. Malaysia acknowledges difference, protects rights. It's messy, eh? It works better. Malaysia's stability is something Western nations study and can't replicate, admits Dr. Priya Nair. Western models are failing while Malaysia succeeds. The real threat: Malaysia proves Western multicultural models aren't superior, possibly worse. That's an ideological challenge nations can't dismiss. Development number 9. Malaysia attracted talent Western nations assumed they'd monopolize. Western nations assumed talent would always flow to them. Brain drain would favor the West. Investment would prioritize Western markets. Malaysia is disrupting this. Skilled professionals relocate to Malaysia. Western retirees choose Malaysia. Digital nomads pick Penang. Investment flows into Malaysian markets. Malaysia offers quality and opportunity Western nations stop providing, explains Dr. Thomas Bradley. The assumption that talent only flows west is obsolete. Western nations are competing for the first time in generations. Western prosperity relies on attracting global talent. If Malaysia becomes competitive, Western advantages erode. The real threat: Malaysia competes successfully for talent Western nations assumed they'd monopolize forever. Development number 10. Developing doesn't mean dependent anymore. Western nations built systems assuming developing nations would remain dependent on Western finance, technology, models, approval. Malaysia's rise proves that assumption is dead. Malaysia built independent financial infrastructure, secured supply leverage, developed digital systems without Western help, succeeded using models economists said wouldn't work, maintained strategic flexibility instead of forced alignment. Malaysia isn't isolated. It's a template. Other nations are watching. Malaysia's success is existentially threatening, explains Dr. Sarah Martinez. Not because Malaysia is a superpower, but because Malaysia proved developing nations don't need Western approval to succeed. That's the end of an era. The real threat: Malaysia demonstrated developing nations can succeed independently, and Western countries have no answer except hoping others don't notice. The uncomfortable truth: Western countries aren't nervous about Malaysia specifically. They're nervous about what Malaysia represents. Malaysia-approved non-Western nations can build independent systems, secure leverage, achieve growth using alternative models, maintain non-alignment, attract talent, and succeed without Western prescriptions. If Malaysia can do this, others can too. And if others do, Western dominance erodes permanently. That's not a Malaysian problem. That's a "the world isn't working the way we assumed" problem. Malaysia is making that reality impossible to ignore. We want to hear from you. Does Malaysia's rise genuinely threaten Western dominance? Or is the West overreacting? Are we overstating Malaysia's global significance? Drop your honest analysis. Agree or disagree completely. If this exposes why Malaysia's success makes Western planners uncomfortable, smash that like button and subscribe.